We call them our heroes. They walk into danger first and put their safety last in an effort to save others.
But what happens when the first responders you're supposed to call for help show up but don't do their jobs?
Only on 10 on your side's Aisha Tolliver investigates if a man could still be alive had 2 Newport News firefighters acted.
It was a shot spotter alert on October 15th, 2023 that first sent Newport News police and firefighter medics to Garden Drive. When they got there, they found 39-year-old Quandrell Williams of Smithfield with a gunshot wound behind this home. Williams was transported to a local hospital where he died 10 days later. That's the story the city shared with the community. But the story 10 on your side uncovered might lead one to question why the city didn't share more. On March 4th, we received an anonymous email. It claimed a man who was shot wasn't transported for medical treatment immediately upon arrival of first responders. Rather, the message alleges the victim was left to sit there for nearly an hour with no medical care at all. We went to work to see if there was any way this could be true. Dozens of emails, phone calls, information requests, and door knocks later, we connected it to Williams' homicide case. All ultimately leading us to this interview with Police Chief Steve Drew and Interim Fire Chief Wesley Rogers, where for the first time, they're admitting some of the allegations made in that email did happen.
When medics responded and they found Mr. Williams, they declared Mr. Williams deceased. After some time of being on the incident, they realized that Mr. Williams was not deceased.
We had a lot of questions. What made them believe he was dead? Did medics attempt any aid? And what did they tell the family? Neither Rogers nor Chief Drew would go into detail, saying this was an active criminal investigation. But they did say what occurred was in no way what should have.
I just would like to say that the employees on that incident, the senior providers, did not live up to the standards of care that are accepted by the Newport News Fire Department and the City of Newport News.
Sources close to the fire department say Williams laid on this porch alive for close to 40 minutes with a gunshot wound to his head before he was transported to Riverside Regional Medical Center. Court documents say he was pronounced brain dead on October 25th and taken off life support.
We've got to make changes moving forward if that's what we got to do, but as an organization, we got to be better.
The whole situation was captured on Newport News Police body camera. While we asked to see it, citing the investigation, the city wouldn't release it. So what really went wrong? We went out to the neighborhood to try and see if anyone saw anything. We spoke to a neighbor who remembered hearing around 5 shots that morning, but they couldn't recall how long it took before Williams was transported. One Ring doorbell camera faces the scene, but the person inside the home didn't answer the door. If you had to have it done perfectly then, say, right? You look back on all the body camera footage and you say, you know what, my guys did everything they could. They did the right thing, followed protocol all the way through. What would that have looked like?
Mr. Williams would have been transported immediately.
Immediately?
Yes.
Rogers says the senior EMS captain was initially canceled because they thought the victim was dead, but went back to the scene later when it was discovered he was still alive.
We do it to help people, to save people, and you know, when people don't live up to that or don't live up to those standards of conduct that we hold so dear as to what we do, absolutely, it breaks your heart.
Do you believe in any capacity that race played a role?
Absolutely not. As an organization, we're here to support and be here for our community, and there's absolutely no racism that was involved with that incident or any incident that involves this fire department.
Rogers says the city manager was notified and an internal investigation began quickly. So what happened to the firefighters involved, and what does the family think about all of this? That part of the story at 6. Aisha Tolliver, 10 on your side.
In a story you'll see only on 10, our Aisha Tolliver investigates after allegations medics didn't follow protocol when responding to a shooting in Newport News.
It is a mistake that could have been a matter of life or death for one man. She reveals who was reprimanded and what changes the department made in part 2 of her investigation.
On October 15th, 2023, police say 39-year-old Quandrell Williams of Smithfield was found with a gunshot wound behind this home off Garden Drive in Newport News. Williams was transported to a local hospital where he died 10 days later. Now, nearly 6 months later, we learned that wasn't the whole truth. Newport News Police Chief Steve Drew and Interim Fire Chief Wesley Rogers sat down exclusively with me last Friday to talk about what happened for the first time.
When medics responded and they found Mr. Williams, they declared Mr. Williams deceased. After some time of being on the incident, they realized that Mr. Williams was not deceased.
Rogers says the employees who were on that scene were immediately placed on administrative leave. And by the end of it, at least 2 senior firefighter medics were let go. Why not reprimand everyone that responded and didn't stop and say, hey, something's not being done right?
Those employees, everybody on that scene through the internal investigation went through the discipline process.
While steps were taken to investigate what happened within the fire department, we learned police didn't sit down with Williams' family to talk about the delay in help until 10 on Your Side got involved. Williams' sister says now the family is aware and working on it, but didn't want to say anything further. Is there a chance that Mr. Williams could still be alive today had the paramedics, the firefighters, those who responded to the scene acted per protocol and not waited or not declared him dead on arrival?
We can't make that determination, right? That's got to be done by physicians and doctors who can determine that. From what we were told from the attending physician that was there, that bullet killed Mr. Williams.
A bullet from a gun police allege was shot by 35-year-old Lacavius Charity. If this is your first time hearing that news, it's because it was never released to the public. On December 15th, Charity was charged with second-degree murder. I received the arrest update just a few weeks ago. Is there a concern at this point, considering the mess up that happened, that the murder charge wouldn't stand?
I talked to one Commonwealth attorney on the phone and then had a short conversation with Mr. Gwynn just a couple weeks ago. I can tell you, I don't want to talk about anything about that court case. Charity declined to interview from jail. Rogers and Chief Drew say the situation had nothing to do with a cover-up.
We knew that the family was going to see it in the courtroom, that they're going to see everything. So that's the time to address it, is to make them aware of that prior to them walking into a courtroom and seeing it for the first time.
Rogers says all of this has led to operational changes, starting with the most senior medical officer always responding to those types of calls.
That individual was responding to the call, but they were canceled upon the DOA assignment.
Rogers says they were able to hire an operational medical director as well, who gives them the authority to practice under their license.
I have to be able to talk about what happened, and I don't want to hide anything for the sake of the family, the sake of everybody involved, and for the citizens of this city.
Rogers also says the Virginia Office of EMS was made aware early on of the findings. Right now, we're still working to learn if the certifications of those involved were revoked. It's also important to note firefighters are not criminally or civilly protected. But as of now, there are no criminal charges filed against anyone who responded at this time.
People that wear this uniform, we don't always get it right. But our job is to be better tomorrow than we are today, and we should be better today than we were yesterday.
I'm Aisha Tolliver. It's On Your Side.